Welcome to the FinTalk Show at Pros AI, where we spotlight the entrepreneurs and people who support entrepreneurs by revolutionizing financial services and technology, transforming how businesses get done. For those joining us for the first time, we are Pros AI, and we specialize in helping fintech and other tech businesses to scale their revenue and reduce operational costs through AI tools. If you're looking to scale your business to the next level, stick around. And if you want a free growth consultation, just drop us a DM and we'll get back to you. Our guest today, I'm very pleased to introduce Eric Egeland, founder and senior partner of Capacity Bookkeeping, a company that is redefining expectations in the bookkeeping industry. Eric brings a management consulting mindset to bookkeeping and goes beyond just clean books. Thank you for joining us, Eric. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Austin. Thank you.
Eric, let's start with your story. Tell the audience who's Eric and what's the origin story of Capacity Bookkeeping.
That's a long story, but we'll do it quick. So it's kind of a cool story, and I'm going to go back 2 steps. So don't worry, we'll get to the bookkeeping. I was in the insurance business, was my first real career, and only because I didn't know what to do as a kid, and I opened up a newspaper and it said, "We'll train you and pay you $30,000 a year." And I went, "Okay." It was insurance sales, right? They would hire anybody that'd fog a mirror. So I did that for about 8 years. Crushed it, got promotions, was a VP, had a whole bunch of people reporting to me, and I read a book on management consulting about McKinsey and Company. And I didn't know that was even a profession. So when I read that book, I went, "Oh man, wow, that's me. Like that's how I think. I think like a management consultant. Like even as a little kid, when I bought a bicycle, I didn't buy the pretty one. I researched them to make sure I had the fastest one, even if it was ugly, right? So I met the kids on the weekend. They made fun of my bike, and I was like, "Put up your money. Let's see."
Catch me if you can.
Yeah, exactly. So I always had that mindset. So I literally started self-teaching myself management consulting methodology. I promise you, this is all going to make sense about bookkeeping in a second. So I taught myself all that. I padded my E-Trade account, and I for a year, and I quit insurance, and I started my own consulting firm from scratch.
Wow.
This was 25 years ago.
And that's about self-teaching. You self-taught management consultancy, and you decided to quit your job, start a management consultancy firm.
Right from scratch. Yep. And I got lucky because, management consulting really has nothing to do with insurance. But my first couple of clients, I got very lucky, were management consulting gigs, but they thought they needed somebody that knew insurance because their problem had nothing to do with the fact that they were in insurance. It had to do with operations and finance and growing too fast and all that normal stuff. But they thought they needed somebody that understood their insurance business. They didn't really, but that's how I got my first couple of gigs.
Okay.
Yeah. So my point in telling you all that is that how I started Capacity Bookkeeping 10 years ago. So 2 things from an entrepreneurial sharing of, how'd you get there? I knew I needed a reoccurring business, right? Management consulting, you got to go out and kill the heat every single day, no matter what, because you work yourself out of a job every time, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're lying and stringing them along. You do a good job and you're done. So I needed a reoccurring revenue thing. And we would do turnarounds in the consulting business. So companies that get in trouble, they'd say, "We need your help." And I'd say, "Send me a blood test, your financials." And they'd send me this hot mess of financials. And I thought, man, somebody needs to clean this up. And you're not going to pay my consulting firm $350 an hour to clean these financials up. I can trend them in 6 minutes if they're clean, but to clean them up, you don't want to pay us to do that. So there was the opportunity, right? I said, I'm going to create a bookkeeping company. I'll give them these clients. Hey, go over to my bookkeeping company for $50 an hour, get your books cleaned up, and then come back to us and we'll trend them and tell you what's wrong. So that was where the idea came from.
Right.
Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you want me to roll into the model and how we came up with the model based on the consulting, or you want to save that?
Yeah. Why don't you tell us that? But that's an interesting way of flipping it. You start with a management consultancy, they give you their books, and you're thinking, well, they're messy. I don't want to clean this up. give it to this company, they'll clean them up, and there you are, another business, starting. That's really entrepreneurial.
Yeah, yeah. And to be honest with you, those clients were few and far between, but it's where the idea came from. Like we went out and marketed to just straight bookkeeping clients, of course, to grow the company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And walk us through the model then.
Yeah, so the management consulting is very important aspect of our model because I'm not a CPA or a bookkeeper.
Right.
So when I came up with the bookkeeping idea, I did a feasibility study on it, a full-blown management consulting feasibility study on my own business before I started it.
Right.
So the feasibility study looks, I'll shrink it down for what's really important. We looked at all the different ways that you could get your books done. Your CPA doing it overseas, hiring somebody in-house, the lady down the street. And we looked at all the pros and cons of each one of those and used all that information to create our model.
Right.
So our model is all my bookkeepers are US based. We found
Right.
that that was very important to the US market. They all have accounting degrees.
Right.
Most bookkeepers don't have an accounting degree.
No.
And that is a huge mistake because you can have a bookkeeper that has 10 years of experience and has certifications in QuickBooks and all kinds of other stuff.
Mm.
But if they don't have an accounting degree, they don't have an intrinsic knowledge of generally accepted accounting principles. Having that degree allows my bookkeepers to communicate with a 70-year-old CPA on the same level.
Exactly.
So absolutely very important. And they all have at least 10 years of experience. So that was our main model. We charge $52 an hour in 15-minute increments, which is
Mhm.
crazy. So now if you
Right.
think about what I just said,
Yeah.
my bookkeepers have at least 10 years of experience. I have some that have 30 years of experience
Right.
and they have an accounting degree. And
Mhm.
I'm only charging $52 an hour. So how
Yeah.
does that work, right? I hire most of these bookkeepers in rural areas in the United States.
I see.
So they're a $70,000 person that lives in the woods and wants to live in the woods with their
Right.
dog and their husband or whatever, right? They tend to be female. And
Right.
I hire them, I let them work at home, and they're happy making half what they should be making because they don't have to commute. They can work
Right.
from home in their pajamas for the most part and
Right.
they're amazing high level people. We just get them for that price because they're in rural areas. So that model has worked out amazingly well. We have 5-star reviews, full 5 stars on Google. Our clients love us. We're insured. We have a separate person that does the invoicing, and when they get the hours from the bookkeepers, they audit the hours to make sure that our bookkeepers are not working too slow, to make
Right.
sure that we're providing proper value to our clients. Um, and so we have clients we have huge nonprofits in Manhattan, and
Mhm.
we have roofers that are $13 a month in Alabama.
Wow. So you have quite a range of clients, and as you said, I mean, with all this quality that you're giving them, the reviews are quite telling as well. That people really appreciate what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it's the level of bookkeeper. We don't care. The work is the same, right?
Right.
General bookkeeping work is really classifying transactions,
Right.
which one is travel, which one is gas, which one is rent, and
Right.
reconciling them. That's the foundation of what a bookkeeper does at the end of the day. And we don't
Right.
care if we do 6 transactions for a roofer in
Yeah.
10 minutes and then go do 10 hours for a nonprofit because we're at such a high level that we
Yeah.
understand all that. It's not like when we do the roofer and then we go to the big nonprofit, we mess things up because we don't understand. We
Yeah.
understand it all. So it's just more minutes at work. It doesn't matter.
Can you walk us through maybe an example, a transformation example where maybe a business came to you with messy books, completely overwhelmed, maybe they're facing some potential IRS issues or just flying blindly financially, and they thought, capacity bookkeeping can, help us. Can you walk us through an example where you've actually really seen a business transform because of your services?
Yeah, so I'll give you the what you kind of led me into. That happens all the time,
Okay.
but I'm going to give you a better category of example in a second. But to your point, when people hire us as their first bookkeeper, right? So a small business that's been doing it themselves, right? Let's say it's a mom and pop, husband and wife running a business, and it gets too busy and they don't want to do the books anymore. You
Right.
know, that's transformative always because it just goes off their plate. And if they haven't done their books for 2 years, we
Right.
just take them and we clean them up in a week, right? No
Right.
big deal. We get them all caught up to speed. So that just reduces their stress massively. But in fairness, it's a new expense to them, right?
Yeah.
Because now they're paying for it instead of doing it themselves. Even as
Mhm.
cheap as we are, sometimes that $100, $200 a month that we're charging them, we're $13 a month, right? Um, is it's a new expense. So sometimes they're small enough that they don't like it. Where we really transform and blow people's minds is when a company that's bigger that has a full-time or part-time internal bookkeeper
Right.
and they lose that internal bookkeeper and they bring us on, that
Mhm.
is where we blow people away.
Right.
And I will tell you, I'll give you two examples. We save them 70 to 80% from what they were paying internally. And I'm not exaggerating. I'm going to say it again, 70 to 80%. I'll give
Wow.
you two examples. We had a wholesaler in New Jersey. They were paying $60,000 a year for bookkeeping. They brought us on. Um, the invoicing last year was $14,000.
Wow. That is huge.
60,
Yeah.
60 to 14.
Wow.
Okay.
And giving them exactly I mean, even better quality service, I believe, because you have capacity.
Much better quality service. So their bookkeeper before was the 10-year bookkeeper without a degree. Their bookkeeper now is a 15-year person with a degree that's crushing it, right?
Right.
So better service, better people, better everything.
Right.
Yeah, anyway, another example, our local Chamber of Commerce brought us on,
Mhm.
and they were paying a part-time person $40,000 a year. Our invoicing to them last year, all year, $11,000.
Wow.
So 40 to 11, 60 down
Wow.
to 14. And same
Wow.
thing. The Chamber of Commerce is a nonprofit.
Yeah.
So now picture this. Not only do we do what we do for the wholesaler, right? Better
Right.
bookkeeping, faster, more efficient, 80% cheaper. But my bookkeeper actually presents at the quarterly board meetings so that the CEO doesn't have to.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So the CEO used to have to go prepared for the board meeting with the board of
Yeah.
directors and to present the financials and answer all kinds
Yeah.
of questions and be all nervous
Yeah.
about that. Now she sits there and sips coffee, and my bookkeeper goes up on the screen on a Zoom
Yeah.
call and
Yeah.
presents the financials and answers questions.
And answers all the finance questions. And that's amazing. I mean, this kind of leaders, I mean, they want somebody to take care of some of the things that like numbers. A lot of them would rather somebody who's more qualified. And this is actually quite a really good service that you're giving them to see they're comfortable knowing that my numbers are being taken care of by somebody who's extremely qualified.
Yeah, yeah. I'm going to bring up a topic that all your listeners should be incredibly aware of and concerned of. A single internal bookkeeper
Mhm.
that you hire
Right.
is the worst fiscal mistake that you can make. I'll tell you why. The biggest insurance company in the world for theft is called Hiscox, Hiscox. They did a study on embezzlement, and the biggest perpetrator of embezzlement in both
Mhm.
frequency and dollar amount are bookkeepers. Not CFOs, not controllers, not accounts receivable, not accounts payable,
Right.
bookkeepers. And the
Mhm.
reason is that they internally, if they're an employee, they know what everybody's making. And they
Right.
tend to be at the bottom of the pile and they watch everybody get raises and buy new cars and it builds up this little bit of animosity. And then their husband gets sick and loses his job. And then they have this animosity, they have a need, they're
Mhm.
desperate, and they steal money. That's the model that Hiscox lays out. So if you have two
Yeah.
finance people in your office, that's
Right.
okay because it's hard
Mhm.
for them to collude. But if there's
Right.
one that is in
Right.
control of your books, that is the worst thing you should do. You are better off farming it out,
Right.
outsourcing it to a company like Capacity Bookkeeping.
Right. No, that's actually quite an interesting statistics you're putting out there. And of course, if you have two and they're not able to collude, that's double the cost. So when you bring in this external expertise at a tiny fraction of what they would have paid anyway, it kind of makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. It's a no-brainer and it's way safer. Like people think they want that bookkeeper to be an employee so that they're close to them and it's private and they get to know them. But you get assigned a bookkeeper from us that you get to know. Like my clients love their bookkeeper. They know
Mm.
Susie and Vanessa and Jill, and they get to know them. And when they leave us reviews, they talk about
This
Susie and Jill and Vanessa. They don't talk about capacity. So they
so
get to know them. It's just as intimate, but it's
right,
much safer.
right, right. And I mean, that probably answers my next question because I was going to say, why would businesses come to you? I mean, they can go and get all these like QuickBooks or get somebody off somewhere like Upwork and say, well, for $25 an hour, you can do the work and I move on. Why? What makes them say we need Eric?
Yeah, well, they don't. They need to be told, unfortunately. I wish they just figured it out themselves. That would be great. We would grow much faster. But yeah, but the reason is that with all that expertise brings efficiency.
Right.
So there's another study out there, you can Google it.
Mhm.
The average 8-hour worker
Right.
works 2.93 hours a day. So
Well,
the average in-house worker that you are paying for 8 hours actually
right.
only does 2.93 hours of work.
Wow.
Yeah,
2.10 hours a day.
less than 3 hours when you're paying them for eight. The rest of the time, they're checking their social media, going to the bathroom, getting a cup of coffee, talking to their coworkers, going and having a smoke break.
Yeah.
Google it. I'm
Yeah.
not joking. It's a
I'm,
very
I'm, I'm,
well known statistic.
that's
So
staggering.
yeah, when you hire us, not
Yeah.
only are we hitting the clock and working, and then hitting it when we go to the bathroom, and then hitting it when we come back from the bathroom,
Right.
and that's part of our reputation, right?
Yeah.
I have a person that audits how fast our bookkeepers work. If our bookkeepers do 100 transactions too slow, we
Yeah.
know it and we address it. And it could be because that client talks on the phone a lot and needs a lot of help, and you can't really count the transaction timing, but we dig into it to make sure. And if we have a bookkeeper that's taken too long to do the work, they go. It happened last year. We had a bookkeeper in South Carolina. She was taking three times, twice as long, a little
Mhm.
less than twice as long for no other reason. And we had to let her go because she was just slow. Great
Yeah.
girl, knew what she was doing, but just too slow.
You did mention they're working across different industries, non-profit, for-profit, and different sizes of businesses. Each, of course, bring a different level of complexity. How do you maintain the deep expertise across all these verticals while delivering customized solutions for your clients?
Yeah, that's a great question. So when I started the company, in the feasibility study and business plan, I thought I was going to need bookkeepers that specialized in each area, right? That's what I thought. I thought I was going to need a nonprofit specialist and maybe somebody that understood law offices and somebody that understood contractors. What I learned over our 10-year history is that when you hire bookkeepers that are at the level that we hire them, they can do it all. So I'll give you some major categories of difference that tend to be in some industries, but nonprofits, obviously, they have audits, and you need to understand how that audit process works and how to support that audit process. That's huge. And their taxes are a little different because they're a nonprofit. But once you understand those nuances,
Right.
you can handle any nonprofit in any industry. Another common macro nuance is job costing. So take a contractor that is building 10 houses at once. and he wants those 10 houses to have separate sets of financials so he can see if, if he's profitable on each house and to what degree. We
Right.
understand job costing. So now that concept can be applied to landlords that want their separate buildings separate. It can apply to a nonprofit that
Mhm.
has multiple entities and they want them separated, even though all the money's coming in together.
Yeah.
So those are two great examples of macro
Yeah.
issues that tend to apply to certain industries, but could apply to any industry that we understand very well. Law offices have escrow, right? That's a macro issue that some real estate
Right.
entities and legal entities have escrow accounts. You need to understand
Yeah.
how they are a little different. We understand all that. So
Right. That's a very good, it's a very good model because when I'm sure when you're doing your feasibility study, you're thinking you might have to specialize. You might need specialists, but with time you realize actually that specialization is not exactly required. But looking at the industry evolution now, with artificial intelligence, AI exploding everywhere. QuickBooks has just launched the accounting agent that can automate 80 to 90% of routine bookkeeping tasks. And you've got accounting professionals excited about all the changes that are coming. How does that change things for you? Does that make it better for you? Is that a threat? How do you see AI playing into your business and the future?
yeah, so it's interesting. I'm gonna give you kind of a negative and a positive. Not negative, but uh the AI has a limited impact on the core of what we do.
Right.
I'll explain why. A lot of people ask us, "Hey, are you QuickBooks guys? Like, do you know other software?"
Right.
And my answer is we are system agnostic. We don't care. Our clients have a dozen different softwares, QuickBooks, Xero, NetSuite. Some of them have proprietary industry specific software that nobody's ever heard of, but their industry.
Right.
The reason that we don't care is because the accounting module, the finance module of
Yeah.
any crazy software you could possibly imagine has to be based on GAAP, generally
Yeah.
accepted accounting principles. So, although you may need some instruction on what three buttons to hit to get to the finance module, once you're in there, they all work the same.
They work the same.
So, as far as like systems are concerned, we don't care. AI has a limited ability to really assist because it's gap, right? You can't
Right.
change it too much. They're all the same. Now, to answer your question and what you were more looking for is I love AI. I'm an early adopter. I have an AI answering agent. I've hired AI people to do marketing for us. I love it. But like a software like QuickBooks, it is I know they're just talking about AI right now, but ever since QuickBooks Online came about, it would automatically match transactions. Now, I don't think they called it AI back then, but
Yeah.
like that's
Yeah.
the concept, right? This data pops in and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, McDonald's, I know that that's meals. And it
Hmm.
classifies it as meals. And then instead of you having to type in what it is, you
Yeah.
just go, yes, 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 you got that one wrong. Yes, 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 you got that one wrong.
Right.
So that's amazing. That's
Hmm.
that's awesome. And that's another reason, some people are doing books. I'll give you a good example. Small entrepreneurs, if they hire us, they might be doing their books on spreadsheets.
Right.
And I say to them, "Hey, you should probably get QuickBooks Online or something like that." And they
Right.
say, "Yeah, but that's $50 a month or $40 a month." And I say, "Yes, but the amount of time that we will save using QuickBooks
Yeah.
versus your spreadsheets will make up for that 40, $50." And the reason for QuickBooks Online in particular, and Zero and a lot of them, is twofold. A, you connect the bank account.
Yeah.
So the transactions in real time just load in. You don't have to take a PDF and turn it into an Excel and upload it. It's just
Yeah.
there. They just
Yeah.
go in. Number
Yeah.
one. And number two, that AI matching happens and we just have to say yes, 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 no, yes, 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 no. So it's much more efficient and it cancels out the $40.
Yeah, it's. I mean, that's a great example. You know, sometimes people look at this small expense and they think, oh, it's going to cost us. It's actually saving them a lot more. It makes it efficient for you also for your teams to do work quicker. But also, there's something you mentioned. I mean, the AI is actually not going to present at these board meetings. You still need that human element that AI cannot replace, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's some decisions that need to be made that I'm sure AI will get there, but there's some, I'll give you an example is when we're usually pretty automated, right? Once we bring on a client, we talk to them and understand what's going on, we're pretty much on autopilot, right?
Right.
Unless they have board meetings they want us to present. But if they're a normal small business, we don't even really have to talk, right? We just do their books. But every month we get transactions that we don't know what they are, nor does QuickBooks, right? So we get an ATM withdrawal, right? Or something that's, from Acme Company, and we're like, so we have to
Right.
call the client or send them an email and say, what is this? And they're like, oh, we needed to do a party in the office, so I pulled money out of the ATM for it. So now we know what it was, right? It was an office party. So there's always going to be that communication, and like AI wouldn't know what the ATM withdrawal is either.
Right.
So
And maybe just going back to, I know you mentioned, using AI for marketing. How do you typically acquire your clients? I mean, are these referrals? How do you get your clients? Is that people you reach out to? And you mentioned also, oh, you wish they knew, but you have to reach out to them. How do you
yeah.
what how does that work?
Yeah, so we have gotten our clients. I'll put them in three marketing tactics.
Right.
The first one, and this works really good if you're just starting out, is networking,
Hmm.
right? So when you have a lot of time because you don't have a lot of clients, but you don't have any money because you don't have any clients, joining your local chamber of commerce, networking groups like BNI, just anything you can do to like get with a group of people that all shares what they do and taking people out to lunch. That's how we started. That's how we got our first 10 clients.
Right.
And then of course we always do, right? Like I just got referrals this week because I know people, right? Because I've been doing that for longer than 10 years. The second thing that we did, it's a lot more expensive and it takes a lot longer, but it does work, is search engine optimization, SEO. So, we had hired a company that did SEO, and you don't see any results of that for 9 months or a year. Takes a
Yeah.
really long time. And then, somebody calls you and you go, hey, how'd you find us? Like, oh, I Googled bookkeeper near me and you guys came up. So that's an expensive game, but it does work. The
Right.
third one that worked the best for us, and this is really interesting to your AI question, because I'm going to go no AI. I'm going to go no AI, AI, and back again. Cold callers work
Yeah.
really well for our business. Literally, people who would make 100 calls and get a business and say, "Oh yeah, I'll have that conversation."
Right.
Works really well. But we over the last, not this past year, but 3 years previous, we would hire a cold calling company. They would get us tons of new business, and then they would get out of the business. They would say, "We're going to go into email marketing instead of the cold calling." Happened to
Right.
me with three different companies.
Mhm.
Canada, the US, I have multiple companies. And I was
Right.
like, no, don't leave. You do great. The cold calling works really well. Don't go away.
Yeah.
And then nobody was doing cold calling, let's say last year. This year, it has popped back up again. I,
Okay.
I don't know why, but I just hired another cold caller yesterday, as a matter of fact, day before yesterday, and he already brought us two new clients. So the cold calling works really, really well. And I will give you a little hint, a little hack. You
Right.
don't want to hire the cheap, big overseas AI company for 25 bucks an hour. They are
Mhm.
horrible. I have hired them multiple times in the past. They're terrible. You
Mhm.
want the one person that's going to charge you 200 bucks an hour,
Right.
that's in your country, that speaks your language, wherever that is. You want that guy because
Yeah.
that guy, he costs more, but you are actually going to going to get an ROI on it.
Right. Amazing.
So that guy's worked really well. I don't know yet. I hired an AI firm out of the Netherlands that does everything AI, right? They'll AI help you, I think similar to you guys, right? They'll help you with whatever ails you. They've got kind of an AI solution for it. They can help you, whether it's, files or sales or whatever the case may be. And so we brought them on for sales first. So they're doing like LinkedIn content, which works really well. They just collected all kinds of information from me, everything that I could give them, pictures and write-ups and stories, and it all goes into the AI bucket and outspits these beautiful articles that go on LinkedIn. And that works amazing. But the other thing they're doing is cold email outreach. It's too new for me to see how that's working, but we did pull the trigger on it, and they asked tons of questions. We're targeting specific markets, and they're A
Right.
B C D E F G testing in real time because they send so many emails out they can. So I can't see how that won't work. Like it has
Yeah.
to work. And I don't think anybody would get tired and call me and say they changed their mind, they're going to do something else because it's all automated,
Yeah.
unlike my cold call guys. So
Yeah. No, that's amazing. Are you doing any paid ads or anything like that?
we have not gotten to that level yet. And as a feasibility, strategic person, we've done a lot of marketing studies and market research studies.
Right.
And going back to what I said before, when you first start out as a
Right.
solopreneur, you have all kinds of time and no money, so you network,
Yeah.
right? Then you have a little bit of time and money, so you go to social media and you pay somebody to do it, right? You
Right.
pay somebody a couple $100 a week to do your social media posting. Then you get to the point where you got a couple $1,000s a month and you do SEO. We're not to that next level yet, which is like paid advertising, because that gets
Right.
expensive. Now we have played around with Google ads and stuff, but that can get super pricey and not have an ROI and get away from you.
Right.
But we've only got maybe a couple hundred clients so far, and we are just now getting to that next stage of we grew 30% a year organically. I'm shooting for to destroy that, maybe 300% this year, but that'll get us to a level we can start to like do TV advertising and billboards and things like that and kind of take it up a level, but we're not there yet.
Right. Right. So if I mean that's amazing. 300% target is always an amazing place to be. If when you're looking to achieve that as a vision, what's stopping you from doing it? What's the biggest bottleneck and how do you tackle that?
Yeah, the biggest bottleneck is budget, right? So
Budget.
like those stages that I told you, all those stages are tied to how much money you can spend on, you
Yeah.
can't spend this much money when you're here.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
you almost have to do the networking for free, the
Right.
social media posting for $100 a month, the SEO for $1,000 a month, and then you have to work your way up
Yeah.
unless you get outside investment, right? Or you borrow money or you get investors. So, you have small tech startup companies that blow up. It's because, yeah, they went and borrowed a $500,000. But
Yeah.
if you're a
Exactly.
regular entrepreneur and you don't want to take on debt,
Yeah.
then you have to do those steps slowly as you can afford them.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, you find this like tech startups with VC funding getting millions of
Yeah.
funds, which unfortunately, small businesses don't necessarily have access to. But capacity is something that you don't worry about. You can X your business if you wanted. With if there was capacity is never an issue. Because I was thinking maybe capacity might be because you need to bring people in, you need to train them, or is that not an issue for a business like yours?
No, I could take on. I'm gonna exaggerate and go back a second. From an operational and hiring perspective, I could take on 100 clients a month, right now today.
Oh,
Like
wow.
our hiring process is nailed down. I could hire 30 bookkeepers in a week. Not even
Right.
joking.
Right.
30 good bookkeepers in a week because, a lot of them, especially right now after COVID and right now, a lot of them are like they retired early, but they still want to work part-time. That's all great for us. So all those people are awesome. People that want to work from home. I could hire an endless amount of bookkeepers right now, and I have those ads and that process and that whole thing nailed down. We would just I would choke because I would need like more people to answer. If you sent me 100 people at once, I would choke on the people like onboarding them and answering the phone. Doing the work, no
Mm.
problem. And I would solve the answering the phone onboarding problem very quickly if I had it.
Yeah. A
But
good problem to have.
right, exactly. I would
Yeah.
figure out how to fix that super
Yeah.
quick. I would hire people to do that as well.
Right.
But no, our model is completely set up to we can expand as fast as possible. And you're right. If we connected with investors or VC or something and they gave us $1 million right now,
Yeah.
there's no doubt we could blow this company up. But I'm having fun. I'm not trying to play that game. I enjoy the game I'm playing.
Yeah.
Um, we do real quick, we do the bookkeeping. We also offer a fractional CFO service.
Right.
So part-time CFO. So that I don't do any of the bookkeeping or any of that kind of stuff. I work on the business, not in it. But I actually do some of the fractional CFO work. Not all our clients, but some of them. I really, really enjoy that. That's a
Right.
game changer too. We could talk
Right.
about that for a whole nother.
Right, right, right. No, no, I was actually, that's what's going to be my next question to say, what's the vision? What's the vision? Are you looking to expand into things like fractional CFO, but it's something that you're doing already? But maybe just paint the picture for us now. This is where you are. What's the vision? What does success look like for you in 3 to 5 years' time?
Yeah, success for me is 1,000 bookkeeping clients, to be honest with you, because that for me is the 100% owner of this company. Um, that's I don't have to touch it.
Yeah.
And it's just an annuity for me, just being completely selfish, right? So that would be the ultimate goal. The fractional CFO clients are awesome now because they bring in more money, but I have to work more. So ideally, if I had my dream, 3 years from now, we'd have 500 clients and everything would be on autopilot, and somebody would call me with a problem once a month, right? That would be that's the perfect scenario.
Amazing, amazing. That's probably a good place to end. No, thank you very much. That was very insightful. I think for people who are looking to get into business, there's a lot of good nuggets there. Like I picked something you mentioned. When you're starting, you don't have many clients, you have a lot of time, go network. That's where your business comes from. And it's really something practical that a lot of people don't think about. People think, oh, I need to chase the money fast, get some funding, but you can grow without actually necessarily blowing out your budget.
Yeah, 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 of course.
Yeah. Yeah, and thanks for sharing your journey, the model. Your model is actually quite also interesting for people who are probably thinking along those lines. Having all these local people helping local businesses is also something that is quite unique and amazing. And also, you mentioned you tried all this like AI cold calling from abroad. It doesn't work. You need to niche that and bring it back home. It's really good for the way you're supporting businesses and how you work with them. Is there anything else, Eric, that you'd want our audience to take away from today?
So you brought up what you took away was a good point is the networking when you don't have any money.
Yeah,
But I'm going to add another little nugget to that. Another
yeah,
huge mistake people make is not moving to that second level.
right.
So yes, network when you have time and no money instead of going out and borrowing money. But you
Yeah,
also, as you start to get business, you need to save up and prepare to start spending money. Some
mhm.
people can never make that jump and they just network and they have 10 clients for the rest of their lives.
Right.
If you don't make that jump in spending money on some kind of automated advertising, and what's the word when you hand off the work to somebody else?
When you not
When you
delegate, or
Yeah, thank you, delegate. If you
yeah,
don't have a delegation plan and saving up money for automated delegating the business development and the work, you'll be one of these people that's a solopreneur with 10 clients for the rest of your life.
yeah, Yeah, no, that's very good advice actually, because yeah, you could do the networking, but it's not going to get you to that level. If you're stuck with 10 clients for the rest of your life, you're not really growing. If you want to get to 1,000 clients, for example, as you were saying, and then it's all hands off, not needing a lot of your time. It could also be more time for your family, time for friends.
That's a huge part to handing off the bookkeeping too. Yeah, it's like don't clean your house, go
Yeah.
hang out with your family.
Exactly. No, thank
Uh,
you very much. And Eric, if people wanted to connect with you, if our audience wanted to connect with you, or even to get to know more about your business, if they wanted to reach out to see how you can support their businesses, where can they connect with you?
yeah, absolutely. Our website is capacitybookkeeping.com, nice and easy. And I'm Eric at capacitybookkeeping.com, ERIC, nice and easy.
Right.
And our phone number and all kinds of information is on the website. If you Google us, you'll see our Google reviews and you can read those.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all for tuning in. If you found this episode as insightful as we did, please hit subscribe and share it with any small business communities around who are struggling with bookkeeping, or financial services professional who are navigating the AI transformation. And you can find more episodes and other resources on our website, YouTube, Spotify, and LinkedIn. And Eric, again, thank you very much for those insights. We really appreciate you sparing some time to talk to us. And until then, keep building your businesses. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you, sir.